Canada's stronger when we work together. As an Albertan, I firmly believe that. You can always ask a question, but I know what I would respond clearly.
Ottawa is breaking this country, and 50% of Westerners are saying maybe it's time we let them. Now let's cut through the political spin and get right to the truth. Alberta and Saskatchewan didn't break Canada. Ottawa and successive Liberal governments did. And if this country comes apart at the seams, it won't be because the West walked away. It will be because the Laurentian elite shoved us right out the door. This week, the Angus Reid Institute dropped a bombshell poll. 50% of Albertans and Saskatchewanians now say they support holding a referendum on independence. In Alberta, 36% say they'd vote to leave. In Saskatchewan, it's 34%. And while the hardcore definitely leave no matter what crowd sits at 19% in Alberta and 15% in Saskatchewan, that still represents hundreds of thousands of people ready to exit Confederation today, no matter what the Liberals in Ottawa do to try to keep us here. Now, let that sink in. That's not fringe. That's a movement, one that Ottawa and the Liberals built with their own arrogance. Now, why is this happening? Well, because Ottawa and the Liberals just refuse to listen. They refuse to change. They refuse to respect us. Instead, we get Bill C-69, the No More Pipelines law, still on the books and will remain on the books, according to Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Bill C-69, with your plans to build infrastructure in Canada, do you plan to repeal Bill C-69?
We do not plan to repeal Bill C-69, to answer your question directly.
A suffocating emissions cap that targets Alberta and Saskatchewan while letting global polluters off the hook. No national vision whatsoever for a west-east pipeline, leaving our energy landlocked and our people unemployed. And what else does this poll show? Well, that we're not unmovable separatists. We're desperate realists. We're actually quite reluctant. According to the Angus Reid data, 69% of Alberta Leave voters and 61% in Saskatchewan say they'd vote to stay if the Liberals let us build a pipeline across the country. 62% in Alberta and 56% in Saskatchewan would stay if Bill C-69 was repealed. 61% of Alberta separatists and 54% of Saskatchewan ones say ending the emissions cap would convince them to vote stay. So the Liberals could put out this fire tomorrow. Oh, but they won't. Why? Because they don't see the West as a partner. They see us as a piggy bank. We supply the resources, we pay the bills, and then they punish us for it. And let's talk about how this could backfire fast. Angus Reid polling also found that if British Columbia blocked access to Tidewater, or if Quebec vetoed future pipelines, support for separation would increase across the board by as much as 20 percentage points among the soft Leave voters. It would radicalize them. Even Indigenous protests won't hold back the separatist tide. Among the definitely Leave group, a full majority said that major Indigenous resistance would actually make them more likely to support separation. Here's one number that you won't hear on the CBC. 71% of Alberta separatists and 74% of Saskatchewan separatists would vote to stay if the federal Conservatives formed government. Translation, this isn't so much a separatist revolution as it is a desperate cry for fairness. But if Ottawa keeps treating Alberta and Saskatchewan like provinces to be punished, taxed, and controlled, then maybe we've got no choice but to take our future into our own hands, whatever that may look like. Because how long can you stay in a relationship where you're the one always paying, always blamed, and then never heard? So here's one question no one in the Laurentian bubble is asking. Why are Westerners being asked to save a country that won't take its foot off our heads while we drown? If Ottawa won't change, maybe it's time we did. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Westerners are fighting for fairness within Confederation, but nobody in Ottawa appears to be listening, and that includes the mainstream media. But at Rebel News, we are. To learn more about our town halls and to get involved, please go to donegetingscrewed.com.